introduced the idea of radical empathy, that we should not just be empathetic to the present generation or to those who are living, both human and the non-human world, but also include, of course, the unborn generations, which are, in fact, the future generations that are yet to arrive. But then when it comes to futures, particularly to our learners and our partners, is that we also wish to place it and situate in the context of contextual intelligence. It's not just data per se or data for the sake of it, but then contextual intelligence in a way that we need to develop the capacity to navigate history as well, to navigate the present, to navigate the systems that we all operate in, and make sense of them, and hopefully, figure out what really matters that are compelling to us now, and develop that capability to use the future in making a better world. And last but not the least, or two things I would like to add, Emiliano, is collective imagination. There is this view that the future does not exist yet. Of course, literally, it is not, because there is no such thing as a future data, at least from the perspective of data. But then the future is not just seen as something in the context of data. In fact, at least from the perspective of the global south, there is a view that, in fact, the future do exist now. Given the fact that if we try to see it from the perspective, the future as a continuity of human experience, now people and communities, not necessarily from the north, when they imagine the future, they imagine the future with their language in it. They imagine the future with their culture and heritage in it. So that it means that the future cannot actually be blank, but rather it is a continuity of human experience, of human civilization. So it also means to say that we do not just imagine alone. That when we imagine alternative future world, we do not do it individually, but rather we do it collectively, we do it planetarily, we do it globally. So I think learning how to imagine with others is very important, because there's no one person who imagines alone. And last but not the least, when we imagine the future, at least in the context of futures literacy, is that we need to have that mindful anticipation or intention. So when we imagine the future, it must be intentional. At least in the context of the UNESCO chair is the regenerative intent. That when we imagine the future and build that capability to imagine alternative future, is that we must develop that capacity to imagine in the context of healing, in the context of restoration, in the context of protecting life, in the context of respecting life. And from that point of view, Emiliano, we in the UNESCO chair is that what we're trying to do and make is for us to realize that we must learn how to build a relationship with the future, that we do not just treat it as a case study. We do not merely treat it as a program, a strategic plan, innovation, or a strategy for that matter. We must learn how to relate with it.
Yeah, I have a couple of interesting questions, because what you're sharing with our audience is very interesting. So what kind of different future you personally would imagine? If you had to describe this to a group of young learners who really are hopeful that they can shape a future rooted, for example, in sustainability and social justice, in order to inspire them, what kind of different future you envision?
Yeah,